Hello everyone, my name is John. Today I will tell you how to set up integration to transfer new rows from Google Sheets to Google Calendar. This is necessary to automatically transfer new rows from Google Sheets to other systems. For example, in Google Calendar you can create new events. Now let's move on to the setup. First you need to create a new connection. Next, select the data source system, Google Sheets. Now select the action, Get Rows, New. At this stage you need to connect your Google Sheets account to the ApiX-Drive system. In this window you must specify the login and password of your Google account. Required, check all the access boxes. When the connected login appears in the list of active accounts, select it and click Continue. At this stage, you need to select the file and sheet from which new rows will be downloaded. In the Start Data Loading with Row Number field, you must specify the row number from which to start uploading. For example, if your data begins with row 2, then you need to indicate the number 2 in the field. If you have a lot of data in your table and you do not want to transfer it, then you need to indicate the row number on which this data ends. For example, if you have 1000 rows, then in this field you must specify the number 1000 in order to start uploading from the last row. Now you can set up a data filter. In this case there is no need for this, so just click Continue. At this stage, you see an example of the data that is in the specified row. If you are satisfied with everything, click Continue. At this point, setting up the Google Sheets data source has been successfully completed. Now you need to move on to setting up the data destination. Choose the system, Google Calendar. Next you need to select an action, Create Event. At this stage you need to connect your Google Calendar account to the ApiX-Drive system. In this window you need to specify the login and password of your Google account. Be sure to check all access boxes. When the connected account appears in the list of active accounts, select it and click Continue. Next you see Google Calendar fields for creating new events. First, you need to select a calendar in which new events will be created. To Google Calendar fields, you can assign variables from Google Sheets. In order to do this, click in the field and select a variable from the drop-down list. Please note that you can use not only variables from the drop-down list, but also enter data manually. To go to a new line, use Enter. When all required fields are filled in, click Continue. At this point, you see an example of data that will be sent to Google Calendar as new events for each new row from Google Sheets. If you are not satisfied with something, click Edit and you will go back a step. In order to check the correctness of the settings, click Send Test Data to Google Calendar. After successful sending, go to Google Calendar and check the result. If you are satisfied with everything, return to the ApiX-Drive system and continue setting up. At this point, setting up Google Calendar as a data destination has been successfully completed. Now you need to enable auto-update and select an update interval, for example, once every 5 minutes. That's all. I wish you successful integration settings and good luck.